Hello, beautiful world. My name is Mike Fow, and I'm an artist, and this podcast is about all the things that I think about. So, today we're going to discuss my daily routine and how I structure my time to have leisure, pleasure, fun, get work done, and to kind of have a well rounded, healthy lifestyle. A little bit of a backstory. Probably like most of you, I work for someone else, or I've worked a 9 to 5, or I had worked for someone else. And through that time, I thought it was, it was a good idea to achieve the goals that were set forth by myself and by my employer, and to make whatever, do whatever I could to get things done. For context, I used to work at GoPro in the United States, in San Francisco, and also in Munich, Germany, for the EMEA office. And at that time, when I began with GoPro, we were very much in the public eye. I worked for the media team. I was an editor and a shooter, production artist, if you want to know the correct term. And we were very much in the public eye, and so it took us a considerable amount of effort to make things look good and on brand so that we could wow the world, because the world was watching. And so I built this work ethic that was pretty stringent. I would work myself into the late hours of the night. I would, travel multiple time zones in a week. I would make sure that everything got done on time, and, just pulled off some pretty amazing things during that journey. And through that, I realized, I was gaining a lot of positive experience. I met a bunch of cool people. I've traveled all over the world. I had a bunch of cool experiences. I felt proud of what I did. And so I didn't quite pay attention to, how much it was actually how much effort it was actually taking my body. I was also younger then, 24 or something like that. And now it's, many years later. It's, more than a decade later. I'm about 38 now. My birthday's next week, actually. And, so I didn't realize how much effort I was putting into things. And then I started to shift once I moved to Europe, on, focusing more on freelance and the things that I wanted to do in that realm. And an interesting shift happened. You don't really have the support of finding, of having projects found for you and having a monthly income come in. So you kind of try and build your skill set and, try to be competitive with the marketplace and everybody else that's driving for jobs. And so I picked up some coding skills, and I self-taught, app development and web development, front end and back end. And then I was trying to refine my visual effects skills and some 360 stuff, which I, was pretty famous for. And then just editing and kind of GoPro on brand style and GoPro on brand shooting. And so I was refining those things and pushing and pushing and pushing. And what I began to realize pretty heavily is that I'm on the computer all the time. I would go 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, sometimes 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever I felt like I needed my natural alarm clock would pop me up. I'd get up, get onto a project, maybe then break away for a little bit of a breakfast or a chat or something, and then go all day long, scrub something, go all day the second half of the day, go into the evening, and then just retire from exhaustion if I didn't make it, myself, if I didn't push myself till midnight or something like that, or 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because I just couldn't shut it off. I was on this race of trying to achieve something, and I saw this infinite potential on the internet and in digital creation. And I essentially, worked myself silly for at least 5 years like that, until my health took a hit. Essentially, that's what was, I kind of, what was the first symptom of it all. It's just a little bit of fatigue, mostly depression. You don't have a clear mindset when you're going into this stuff, so your goals are all over the place. And that's that's a discussion for another episode. But what I began to realize is I was on the computer all the time. And so where it plays into workflow and what I've figured out now, I'm still going to want to do this podcast. I'm still going to want to develop my app. I'm still going to want to edit some videos. I'm still going to need to market things. I'm still going to have to do a spreadsheet on, my finances and blah, blah, blah. So I'm still going to have to use a computer, and I need to figure out a technique where I can negotiate dropping my focus into that system and then also being able to pull away from it and really actually get away from it. The most important thing is just to limit your time and to be in the right mindset when you go into it, and to not have an environment of multiple distractions. Like, these things are multi-windowed, device-driven notifications coming all the time. Like, they're very distracting machines. It's almost like your attention is required to be focused across multiple things simultaneously, which is not quite how the human brain works. So it's how you interact with the machine and the ergonomics of it as well. Sitting for a long period of time staring into a computer screen is horrible for your body and your mind, the way that your mind actually works. So if I'm going to progress in the future, like most of us who actually need these type of tools to make a living or to continue sustaining a living that we have, you need to figure out a new way to do it. So I'm going to play on some buzzwords here, like the 4-hour workday or whatever, but it actually makes a lot of sense. And what people kind of don't describe is like, you can have that 4-hour workday and you can dissect the time in the day however you would like. So for instance, this morning I set my alarm not at 7 a.m. Everybody says 11 to 7. For years I was like a huge advocate of 11 to 7. And it was working, when I had energy and I was kind of motivated or whatever. 11 to 7 worked pretty well and got me on a good rhythm. And I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that one. But when you come from a state of being burnt out or exhausted, or you're dealing with health issues, or you're trying to like recalibrate your mental behavior and stuff like that, it's better to get as much sleep as possible. And your sleep is probably pretty disoriented and fragmented to begin with. And so adding that extra hour in the morning to take the pressure off having your brain come alive at that point is really helpful. So I do 11 to 8, and that gives me it gives me a nice buffer to sleep. And also, if I don't sleep well, then I can like pick up that time where I don't feel like I have to do anything. 11 to 8 gets me closer to my 7-hour average when I have a sporadic sleep schedule. And it allows me to like read more at night or be calm. And in the morning, wake up and do something for myself, not go do something on the computer. So I'll wake up, I'll go look in the mirror, and I'll just connect with myself. I'll weigh myself on a scale because I'm focused on my eating habits at the moment. So I want to like gain weight. Some people want to lose it. I want to gain it. So I log, what my weight is in the morning, and I look in the mirror. I give myself a high five, like, the Mel Robbins thing. And then I, maybe trim my mustache, brush my teeth, do whatever I want. And then I go back, like lie in bed, maybe read something. I stretch out my hamstrings and, do like kind of like a glute lunge and some calf lunges and stuff to like loosen up my legs, because my posture's been pretty fucked up from all the sitting for years. If I get tired, I just go and read, or I go make a herbal tea. I don't have any caffeine before like 10. And even if I have caffeine at all during the day, I will drink a decaffeinated coffee because I like the flavor, but I just don't. Caffeine for me makes me feel inflamed. It makes me feel agitated, and it also takes me out of the pacing that I want. Because, that's really the key to the whole thing, is like, to change major things is not to figure out how much you can cram into a day. It's actually figuring out how you can make larger blocks of time to focus on the things that you need and remove things from your day so you can slow the pace down but still be as effective. A lot of people are like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I can put all these things together and I'm going to be successful in that way. And it works, and so it tricks people into thinking that's good, but it's not sustainable, nor is it the way that the mind is most powerful. You can connect things together, but it's better over long periods of time, like in steps rather than all at once. It kind of create a synthesis. So Caffeine I don't drink because I want to like make my impulses and my behaviors in a day like drawn out and longer. Like I want to be contemplative and not so impulsive. So I don't, and I also don't want to like be spiking my dopamine in that way. Like it's a 2x factor on whatever I'm trying to do. So I don't want that peak to be as high the next time. Like if I'm waking up and I have to have a cup of coffee, like that to me, like just to get started feels weird. So instead, what I do is I take a cold shower. And I just, I can start it warm and go cold, or I can start cold and go colder, or I can just go shock myself and go cold. But I just go sit in the shower and just breathe and kind of hit these waves of like being uncomfortable and then breathing it out, and waves of being uncomfortable and breathing it out. And immediately when I get out of the shower, I don't turn on warm water. I take a towel and slowly dab myself and just keep breathing. And that readjusts my mind perfectly for the day. There's a lot of physiological things and brain chemistry things that happen, but then there's also a mindset change, and and it also helps with procrastination because you've already done like one of the hardest things, and so the thing that you're going to go do doesn't seem as hard, like just pure neurochemistry. And so I do that, and then I make sure that's either before or after I eat a decent breakfast, not right when I wake up, but a little while after. Make myself a warm beverage, usually like a chai or something like that. And then I go in, and this is about 10 o'clock. So from like 8 to 10, I have that 2 hours where I can like catch up on a little extra sleep, get to know myself, do things for myself hygiene wise, relax, read something, connect with my lover, like these type of things that'll like make me feel better. Go outside, get some sun exposure, take care of something that's really on my mind, that's personal or admin based, that I need to do, pay a bill, or check up on someone, that type of thing. Try not to use my phone. I actually don't sleep with my phone next to the bed anymore, unless my wife is traveling, just for safety, just so so she knows she has someone she can reach out to. But otherwise, I put the phone out of the room and it's on sleep mode or whatever. And if I need an alarm clock, I use an analog old school one. But my brain actually wakes me up. If I say it, my brain will wake me up on time, which is weird. But if you have an 8 to 10 hour, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. buffer on when you need to actually do something, you have space to do that anyways. And if you're sleeping past 10, then you're really sleep deprived, or you went to bed too late. I understand that most people like have a job that starts at 9 and they're being told that they need to do that. That I understand that. And your employer, is hiring your time for a certain expectation and what they want done from you. But it's not actually like the best way to work with your rhythm, right? It's not the best way to like engage your mind and to keep you operating at like full capacity. So for me, by the time 10 o'clock comes around, I've had rest, I've had sustenance, I've realigned my body, maybe I've stretched a bit, I've woken myself up in a really great way with the cold exposure, and now I'm ready to come and do some work and do some computer work, right? Something of that nature. That's why I'm recording this now. This is 10:30 in the morning. So, hopped in, got motivated and did it. This 2 hours between 10 and 12 is the perfect time to not get distracted, to get something done, to take care of the things that are impeding, to be very focused, to knock as much out of the way. You have all the energy, you've gotten some stuff done. If you take care of everything that you need in the 10 to 12 range, that's going to bug you for the rest of the day. You're going to feel so good after lunch that you have all of that time to land the day and take care of the bigger chunk of some project while the day is kind of waning. 4-hour workday. 10 to 12, 12 to 1, eat something, snack something, or 1 to 2, depending on if you want to. Then you can do like 10 to 1, whatever. That's a 6-hour workday, but blah, blah, blah. The concept is about breaking time, not so much counting the time, right? And not going over. 10 to 12, 12 to 1, eat something, snack something, have a lunch, refuel your body. 1 to 3, 2 to 4, whatever it is, take that time to dive into something again where you need more focus, or you want to like mainline on something, or need to add time to the beginning, the morning's task, and need a fresh perspective, you take that and, take a break for lunch, come back and knock that out. By the time you hit 4:00, you can then do the wrapping up, the final emailing, the like closing the project, understanding where you got to today, what you might need to do. And then you just slowly ramp out. And by 4:30, 5:00, you are done. And you exercise. You take 45 minutes to stretch, to do some shit exercise if you're not good at it, or if you want to keep improving. Just you take 45 minutes just to activate your body. That can be inside, that can be outside, it can be whatever. You could have taken a walk before lunch, or a 15-minute thing at that point. But this like coming out of the day with a little bit of exercise, I have a yoga mat here in my studio, and I just finish whatever I'm doing and land. Super important. Now, your evening is not infiltrated with a bunch of editing and a bunch of computer-based work, a bunch of distractions and things like that. I listen to a podcast or two while I'm working out, and then I do some writing, or I read, and or like I play, I do some more physical type of art making or something like that. Cook with my wife, laugh with some friends, reach out to someone, that type of thing. Plan to go out, go do something, especially if it's a weekend or a breakaway, kind of for a longer period of time, go camping, go hiking. I think that rhythm is much more sustainable than the current rhythm that we use. The only thing is that we just need clearer goals. We need to be more directed with our time and not try to take on everything. Like, what are the things that are actually going to matter and actually going to move the needle? All too often, everyone's like, we have got 10 different things that we need to do. And, we can kind of incrementally get on those with this team of 15 people and blah, blah, blah. It's better to have a focused goal and then give people focused tasks for yourself and for teams of people. Then knock it out, get it out of the way, and make sure that what you're putting your effort into is actually what you need to be putting your effort into, which takes a little bit of pre-thinking, right? A little bit of planning and a little bit of risk that you might have made the wrong decision. I think people get too afraid that they might have made the wrong decision at the risking wasting time. And so they pick up a few other things as backup plans, just so in case, this doesn't work out, I can do this, which, A/B contingencies are okay. But if you start doing that, across the board with everything because you're not really sure and not really confident in what you're doing, then there's a problem. You're wasting more time on the process than anything else. And you should love the process, but it should be directed at some focused goal that actually makes meaningful value in your life and moves things forward. Because why are you doing it then? You're just spinning your wheels. Like there's literally no point. And if you're just spinning your wheels to get a paycheck, especially to the detriment of your health, you're not looking at life the right way. You could probably be much poorer in a different situation and enjoy your life much more if you weren't, wasting your time that way. So this 4 to 6 hour workday broken up into these bouts where you actually get into the mindset of this kind of like computer-based world. Now, when you're in there, you need to be organized, and you can make a million files and a million different things all at once on a computer, and you can be connected to everybody, and you're gonna have 10 different windows open. I'm definitely that guy. Like I've had multiple screens. I work on 2 computers at once simultaneously, remotely and globally. Like I'm definitely that guy, It's taken me a lot of effort to be able to pull that back into single task, not to multitask, and remove the distractions. Like, what am I working on now? If I have to have 2 windows open, it's because I'm pulling information from one to the other, or I'm writing something while I'm doing an experience so I can share these things with you guys. This is very important because, like, the podcast that I'm doing right now is that you need to be able to get into a flow state. Like I need to be able to get into this conversation and like know exactly what my story is and kind of get on autopilot to be able to talk about it. You need to be able to do that in the work that you're doing. And so if you don't have this kind of like focus, or this thing that you can focus on, and you have a bunch of distractions coming in or a bunch of, diversions where you can apply your focus, it's not going to be effective and you won't get into a flow state, which there's a whole bunch of information on the internet about flow. Maybe even I talk about it for a bit because it's really important for the artistic mindset, like in painting, for editing and all kinds of things, athletes and whatnot. But for painting, it exists there as well. And that's how I know it the best. So we talk about that later. But scheduling your work time in that way, you have like literally like it's like A, B, C, D. Those are like the 4 things you're going to focus on this month or this next 2 weeks. And Monday through Thursday, which is 4-day work week, because I think that we should all have one more day on the weekend. We don't get enough time to be able to like connect with one another and connect with our families and connect with ourselves and to balance out like this sedentary focused lifestyle where we have to be like having our life revolve around work that we might not want to be doing. You could be lucky and be doing work that you want, which is the ultimate goal, to be like a self-starter and like be an entrepreneur and self-make your own business and do what you want and what you love. That's the dream, right? And that's why, that's what I want to do. And that's what everybody kind of has an aspiration to do, I believe. But just don't know how, or, have a lot of different skills to build up to be able to get to that point, which is cool. And that's what we're going to talk about. And I'll document my journey along the way to see if that helps you. But if you're not that, like, you don't want your life to be revolving around someone else's objectives for the majority of your life, right? Or at least the majority of your week. Excuse me. 5 of 7 days, I don't know the percentage. Someone can just do it. 7 over 5, right? That's a bit over half. That's close to 70%, I think, 75%. So you're like, or 80 or something in that realm. And that's a lot of your life to be spending on someone else's, like, I'm not talking about we have 4 to 6 hour days, but I'm talking about like your week, right? Like your rhythm, your macro rhythm, is being governed by somebody else's agenda in that way, because it sits in the middle of those days. And so if you say, hey, Friday's mine or Monday's mine, I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or I only work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm only doing this morning section of 2-3 hours and this evening section of 2 to 3 hours, you really only have A, B, C, D for the month. You're like task A, task B, task C, task D. And you can put those in, like double up on A on Monday, do an A, B on Tuesday, do an A, B on Wednesday, and then, finish with B, B on Thursday. Because by Thursday, hopefully A is done. If they're long-term tasks, of course, you can create a different cadence. And that's really the magic and the beauty of how you can create your calendar, is be like, these are the times at which I do that. I say computer work because for me, that's the thing I don't want to be doing. I'd rather be outside, being physical and having a more athletic type of existence rather than a sedentary, means for making money and whatnot. So, and I think we all run into that because that's the way that this society and economy works now. Is like, it's so computer driven. Everything is mitigated through a screen and everything has been virtualized. And so we spend an incredible amount of time on a screen in order to live the contemporary lifestyle. And so the more that you can, disassociate yourself from, or remove yourself from that paradigm and figure out how it works for you and how to still maintain a very important aspect of being a human being, which is your physicality and tangibility and living in the real world, while still making, a decent amount of money on this like new, economic platform, which is the internet, as a general grand concept. This is where the exchange of lots of different ideas and language and communication happen, and currency being one of them. And so if you can make money doing that within your terms, and you're helping people, which is bringing value, and they're benefiting, you have a massive amount of control over the well-being, like the well-being of your life, the quality of your life, I should say, and your well-being. And so that's kind of the reason, like, it scares people to not do so much, because they risk losing the amount of effort that they put in, or if they don't do the right choice, they're going to, lose failing, which you will fail. Like everybody fails. It's about how you deal with it. And if you keep trying and thinking beforehand before you jump is important. I'm not saying you don't do that, but people are so, the rent is coming next month. I have to figure this out. So I must jump in and I must do that. And it's just an unfortunate, symptom of the way that we live. Everything is kind of, just the pace of time just pushes us. The graveler is coming behind us, and, you go, I got to figure this out before that thing smashes me, before this happens. But if you learn any skill, it's to be able to properly make decisions and calm yourself in those times and realize that you might not even be smashed, that you might have plenty of options, and to really sit back and think about what you would like to do rather than what you think you should do. And then following that and trusting in yourself to have the conviction to get it done. And yeah, that's a lot. I mean, we can go into, the specifics of the mentality of that and other episodes and whatnot, because that's kind of, the meat on the bones. That's how things actually work, is what you do every second of the day, minute of the day, day of the day, day of the week. And that can get pretty detailed. It should be relatively simple, but that can get pretty detailed. So we'll take that into another topic and another conversation. But to wrap this one up, it's about workflow and managing your time and just kind of rethinking how you spend your time, especially on devices that suck your attention, and start fragmenting your attention, right? And the more that you can create a healthy lifestyle and compartmentalize this type of work, the better you're going to be. And the more focused you are, the better you're going to get into these flow states, and you're going to be able to, remember the things that you, the way that you got there, and just a million different things, and be able to demonstrate it and be able to communicate it clearly to get support or collaboration. There's so many benefits to just focusing in your attention on a few things and being able to structure that time so that you can make the steps forward where they don't seem overwhelming and they don't take over your life. And I know everyone's sitting here going, Mike, that would be great. I wish all companies did this. Of course, they can. The problem is that they haven't been, and they've created such an infrastructure and a culture and a way of working that to change that would be painful. And the shape of the company would change ultimately, right? Everything would change. And we kind of saw this through COVID with the remote working lifestyle. But imagine the amount of time, the amount of time and expectation and productivity, and then the skill set required for management to be able to focus in on the things that actually matter, right? All of these things would have to augment for that to be successful. But the benefit on the other side is companies that can work more efficiently and get more done. And there's data to show that. But also the human individual is going to have a better work-life balance or quality of life, and be able to manage these things that actually end up taking a toll on the human focus and human attention span, and a sense of well-being and mental stability, mental health, and everything like that. You can't have a society of people that are just depressed, droned out, don't think for themselves, swipe left, swipe right, swipe up, swipe down, that literally live in that world. You're not going to have a progressive society. And if nobody can pay attention to the things that they're talking about, then you can't actually get to the root of some complex problems. And if we're a giant globalized society and everyone's dealing with one another, we have a lot of complex problems. And so the skill set, the social skill set that people need to be able to solve the actual physical world that we're in right now are diverging. And I think that that's the main problem. Everyone needs to slow down. We will do less, but we will do more in the things that are effective and actually mean something. So with that, I'm happy that you came here today and decided to join this conversation. If you want to hear more, you can always subscribe. And if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. So, there's no risk there. And till the next time, thank you and see you soon. Ciao.